Welcome to today's Advisor's Assistant guest speaker webinar with marketing expert Michael Levis. Hello, Mike.
Hey, thanks for having me here.
Oh, you're welcome. As many of you know, Mike is known as the father of credibility marketing because he introduced the concept in 1991. Mike specializes in communication and credibility because these are the essential skills for building trust. Now, Mike has taken credibility marketing to the next level and applied it to website design and content. Today, he'll be showing us some simple things that you can do to improve the credibility of your website. So, without wasting any more time, I'm going to pass the controls over to Mike. So, take it away, Mike.
Thank you. Let's see. I get to click this right here. Can you see me okay?
Yes, definitely.
Oh, okay, excellent. Hello, everybody. This is really exciting. I've known Advisor's Assistant personnel, these wonderful folks, for many years, and they are absolutely at the top of my favorite people, just at the top of my list of favorite people, besides being my favorite professional people. In fact, my wife and I almost moved down to Pismo Beach to be close to them. What I'm going to talk about is accidental or inadvertent things that happen or get put on websites that cause people to stop reading them, stop looking at them, abort their search, and go someplace else. It's difficult enough to get people to come to a website. Lord knows you don't want to send them away by something that you've either done inadvertently or something you're not doing. A disclaimer here, I'm not a web designer. I'm really consider it a marketing communication psychologist. So I look at how you communicate to the people that you want to communicate to. So your target market, your prospects, your clients, the stakeholders, all that stuff. Anybody who's important to you in your business, I help you communicate with them. So I make sure that your messages are psychologically valid and accurate. So when you target them, you actually reach them. I'm going to show you a whole lot of websites, different pages from different websites today, and I'm going to point out different problems that most likely your website also contains. And I say that with some degree of confidence because I'm constantly looking at advisor or financial or insurance websites, and almost every one of them contains these problems. Largely, it's not necessarily the advisor's fault because I know that many advisors are mandated to use some kind of a template, and I believe it's the problem with the people who provide the templates that they're really good with the templates, but they don't understand the psychology. So I'm going to point those things out to you, and then we'll help you figure out how to overcome them on your own. So the first lesson, we're going to look at two lessons today. The first lesson is to use visuals. Well, that might seem like a no-brainer to all of us, but it's really not, because it's the way you use the visuals that's important. We fall back here or trust an area of science called neuroscience because it's the body of research that you have to rely on to improve the results from your marketing. They measure. They'll use a functional MRI machine. They use eye tracking software. They use all kinds of technology to measure where people look, how long they look, where their eyes go, and what the responses are to, and since we're talking about websites, specifically for websites, well, wouldn't you want to know that someone was opening your website and then immediately leaving it? Or wouldn't you know that they are opening your website and where exactly you are bringing their eye? What are they looking at? Because if you know where they're looking, you can put appropriate stuff for them. Now, the visuals are really, really important because, and I'll give you two facts here. 1/4 of the human brain is engaged in processing visuals. 1/4 is a huge amount of your brain energy, your brain focus. Albeit you've got 5 or 6 different senses, and all of them come into play, this one is enormous. Okay, the other fact is 70% of your body's sense receptors are in your eyes, 70%. So if you don't use visuals appropriately and effectively, then you're throwing away the lure, the enticement, the reason that someone would be inspired to stay on your page and then engage with you. So the conclusion I'm trying to come up with here is that if your marketing is not visual, then you've wasted your time and your effort. Now, a single image is worth 1,000 words for a simple reason. The unconscious mind does not bother with language. That's the unconscious mind. And the unconscious mind is the greatest influence in how people make decisions. So what are we talking about? Symbols, pictures, and icons. They speak directly to your customers or your clients', well, let's call it psyche. And they bypass the symbols and the pictures and all these images, bypass all other forms of communication to take on the leading role. They are the most important role in influencing people who come to your site. So let's look at a couple of things, ways that they become influential, the visuals become influential. So which one of these two individuals would you consider to look more credible? Well, obviously it's not the one on the left. That's Gomer Pyle, for those of you who are young. It would be the person on the right, who is General Chesty Puller, who is the most highly decorated Marine in history. So why is this important? Is that accidentally you could make your website look like Gomer Pyle. You could do something that would accidentally, inadvertently cause people to think less of your site than you intend. Or you can do it right and pay attention to these psychological uses and have the same benefit as if you were doing business with General Puller. Remember, visual information is not processed in the eye, it's processed in the brain. So the brain makes the determinations. And the first thing the brain is going to say, is this safe for me? This is a life and death. Everything is life and death to your subconscious mind. So the person, the visitor to your site, is going to say, is this site safe for me? Are these people safe for me? And they're going to make a determination on that. And then the second thing they'll ask is, are you up to no good? Are you trying to trick me or manipulate me somehow? So we have all these visuals. You're going to have buttons on your site, banners on your site, headlines. You're going to have tools. You'll have video clips. You'll have links to different blogs or articles. There are tons of things you can have on your site. Now realize that if you operate in more than one area, say you have a property casualty side of your business and then also a personal side of your business, then you've just made your website that much more complex. So the more you do, the more complex the site can become, and you can present the images, the complex assortment of images, well organized or not. It's totally up to you, right? So if it's well organized, what does that say about you? Well, it probably says that you're in control, that you're a professional, you know what you're doing. You give a certain amount of trust to people that visit your site then. And then if it's not organized, if it is a bunch of clutter, it says that you don't have the capacity to operate on the strategic level and then the tactical, detailed level. So you can answer this for your own clients. Why would any prospect want to do business with an advisor who could not operate on both the strategic and the tactical levels? Now, the second lesson is what do you do with your type? You know, I'd ask you to raise your hand if we were in public, in person, face-to-face, and say, you know, if you have a brochure, raise your hand. Almost every professional in this industry has some kind of a brochure, and almost every one of those brochures is laid out in essentially the same way, with a headline and then a couple of 2 or 3 or 4 copy blocks, and the copy blocks typically run 7 to 10 lines, and that's a huge major mistake that does not work on a website. So what are we looking at? How do you break up your copy, the text, the messages, those printed verbal messages that are on your site? And if you don't do it right, people leave. And let me show you what I'm talking about. These are heat maps. And the research is called eye tracking research. So if you look at the image on the left, you see the red parts? That's where the person slowed down and actually read what was printed. You see all the other places where there's content and the person did not look? That's vital to you, because that's what, half your message? If that is, let's say that's your web page right there. Where the red is where people look. Now look over to the one on the right, and you'll notice that it hits real quick, and then it goes over to the right. And then it comes back to the left, and it hits and it reads a couple of things, and then it scatters across to the right, and it comes back to the left, and it looks again at the beginning of those lines. Why? The person is looking for something relevant. And on that site, that page, that person found a few things that were relevant. So let me ask you this. Do you know what is relevant to the people that visit your website? It's their values. It's what connects to their values. They want to know that you share their values, that you're competent, that you're credible, and that they can get along with you. Primarily, that's what they're looking for. So if you know where to place information on your page, you can put information that makes those points for you. Where are you going to put them? First places you're going to put them is along the left margin, and you're going to break your copy blocks into like 3 lines, maximum 3 lines. You'll have a little inline subhead, and then 3 lines, and then you'll drop down and have another subhead, and then 3 lines, and you do it like that. It's kind of a slightly extended or expanded bulleted list. And if you organize your pages that way, more people will read more of your messages. So now let's look at some real sites. Again, I want to emphasize something to you. I'm going to show you actual sites that I pulled off the internet. I just did Google searches to find advisor sites and financial sites where some of them are from England. I didn't care where they were. I just wanted to illustrate certain things. I have no connection whatsoever to any of these people. I've not met any of them. I don't know any of them in any way. So trust me, I have only the best interest, the best intentions here, and that is to help you overcome any problems that you happen to have on your site. What I want to give you your responsibility here as we go through this. And your job is to process the information that you see quickly. So I'm going to show you a website, and I want you to assume the position of a consumer, so a visitor to your site. And I want you to look at these as though you are looking at them for the first time, because really that's what you are, right? So I want you to notice how the look of these pages hits your brain. Notice how you feel about these pages. So do you like the people? Are you drawn in or not? And would you be prone to interact with the company based on what you see here? All right, first one. What do you see? Don't read the content, by the way. And if that's hard for you, squint your eyes a little bit so you blur the content. The words are meaningless here. It's the images. So you have an image up at the top. Let's see if I can get my pointer going. Image up at the top here, that's the logo. And you've got these buttons at the top. You have the nav bar down the side, and you have this great big thing right here. What else is on there? You have an image here, which is a copy block, and you have an image down here, which is a copy block. So you have very few images in the scheme of how many things you'll see on a given website. This one's really clean. It's very easy to look at. But remember, I'm asking you to look at how these things hit your brain. Do you like the people? Would you trust them? What's your impression? Yeah, it's clean, it's simple, it doesn't really say enough to me, so it doesn't invite me in. And I'm also concerned about this image because I really don't know what it is. One would think that this were a technology company, which it's not. It's an investment firm. So recognize how you feel about this page. Then we'll go to another page, which is basically the About Us page. That's largely what we're looking at, the home page and the About Us page on all these different sites. So this is pretty much the same format. This is, I think, a better image because, one, you know what it is, and I'm assuming this is a global company. But look, here's a problem, a major problem. This is the CEO, and this gives his bio. What's missing? His face, a picture of the guy. We don't know what he looks like. Remember, what are we talking about? Visuals. We want to see what he looks like. One, because humans look at other humans, and specifically they look at humans' faces. If you can't see my face on my website, you don't know whether to trust me or not. You know, I could have slimy, leering eyes that just poke out at you from the site, you know, that you wouldn't trust in a million years. We don't know. That could be. You can play worst case scenario on this page because we don't know. We flat don't know. Again, it's clean, but it's sparse. Now this site, this page, is kind of strange. Do you like it? What's it say to you? And where does your eye go first? Okay, chances are it goes, where's my pointer? It goes up here, only stays for a split second, and then it brings it down back to here, to these images right here. At least that's what it does for me. And then, actually, then I went up and I looked at the name up here in the big banner. So what are the problems here? This page is full of problems. One is, what's all this stuff? I mean, I like the images, but what does it say about an investment management company? It looks like it's a shipbuilder, something nautical. No, actually what's going on here is this person uses nautical references and analogies, metaphors throughout his pages. So that's where this comes in. But if you don't know that, and you're just a visitor to the page, you're lost. It's not relevant to you. The analogies are only relevant to him because he's the owner of the company. So let's look at the next page. This is his About Us page. See, here's his tab up here. What's wrong with that? It's the second most looked at tab on any website. Why isn't it over here? Why isn't it to left, on the left, to the just to the left of where it is right now? So it would be like over here instead of way over there. So they're positioned it in the third spot, and it should actually be in the, I'm sorry, it's the fourth spot, and it should be here, the second spot. Now we look here. Remember I said people look to the left and then look over for something relevant to them? Got none. Maybe down here. Okay, here are a few things you can, the guy's saying about himself, but look at all this up here. Remember I said 3 lines? You know, he breaks those rules right here. So go back to your websites and force space between lines. Arbitrarily break them at 3 lines. Then you can go back and edit and make sure that it makes sense. But you have to put those divisions. Now let's look at the most important part of this page, which is this person's photo. It's very dark, at least on my screen, so I'm hoping it comes across better on your screen. Assuming that it comes across the same way as I'm seeing it, A, it's too dark, and because it's so dark, it gives you only one place to look at, and that's right here at his face. What do you think about this face? Do you trust it? Does it look sincere? This is the big thing. A lot of financial advisors are very traditional, old-line, kind of banker-looking guys and women, and that's really boring to someone who's visiting your site. So I don't particularly like this face right here. I don't think it's a sincere smile. So if I were visiting this page, I would be suspect of this individual, and I might not look any farther, if even I had gotten to this page. So the next one, this I think is one of the two most beautiful sites that I've ever found in the business. It's extremely clean. It's just beautiful. I love the angle of the artwork. I love the image. What gender would you think this site is appealing to? I mean, it says feminine to me. So to me, it's, I mean, I have friends in the business who focus and specialize on doing financial advising for women, and I thought that's what this was. It turns out it's really not, but it looks very feminine. It's very clean. It's modern. It's sophisticated. Well, I expected the other pages on the site to follow suit, to be congruent and consistent with this theme that's already set up here. However, I was wrong. That's the About Us page. What do you think? It's a flip of gender, isn't it? This is a much more masculine, kind of clunky page. This is kind of a meaningless visual right here. Here's our theme up here, just like on the home page, except much smaller. And notice the lack of the inline subheads. Nothing to draw the eye back to the beginning of any line. And I absolutely hate these bolded words. You're going to see several pages that have these bolded words. That breaks it up. That breaks up the column, the type, and the paragraph, and makes it more difficult. You're going to see other examples of type that has been designed to look good that actually impedes anybody reading it. But for right now, look at this and tell me, why would anybody read this website? I don't know why they would. This is, yet again, a different site. Remember I said people put together websites that basically defy or impede reading. This is one of them. I have no idea who this company is. They give us, I'm hoping their investment methodology is really stellar. I'd never read this. You see all that space between the lines? It's disproportionate to the size of the type, which says they don't really help. It says to me, or implies to me, they don't have very much to say. They're filling up their page with white space. So let's assume that it's really okay. Let's look at the space between these words right there. You see how they have put in a right justified? It's flush right, the typography. That's the format that they're using here, probably in a template. But what it does is when you force the type to fit in this confined space, it forces extra space between the words. People read not letters to come up with a word. They read the shape of a word, and they read the shape of phrases to put together sentences. And when you break up the words like this, people don't know what you're saying. They have to go the foundation of the instead of letting the words hit your brain, they cease to make sense. They annoy the reader, the visitor, and that person goes away. So let's look at their About Us page. It's just as bad as the other page. More boredom. less enticement to look at the site, at anything on the site. This is just awful. And I would hope that if your About Us page looks anything like this, that you would take it offline immediately and fix it, because it is only damaging your credibility. Now, this page is actually not so bad. Here's a photo of the proprietor, and the paragraphs are short, which is good, and it's clean and uncluttered, which is good. But even though it's clean and uncluttered, it's kind of cold with these giant columns. It's, I don't know, it just makes me a little bit uncomfortable. This theme line, experienced, imaginative, disciplined, I know many of you have something like that in your header or in your logo. I wouldn't use that, and here's why. Imaginative and disciplined are almost always mutually exclusive, because disciplined people aren't imaginative. They fulfill the requirements or achieve their objectives within the given confines. They don't go outside the box. Disciplined people don't go outside the box. Imaginative people go outside the box. So you've got a conflict right there, a conceptual conflict. So let's give this one a B. It's so far, it might be the best one. So we look at the About Us page, and what do we see? Kind of the same thing, isn't it? The great big columns that didn't even move from page to page. It's the same thing. I would want to see, if I stayed with this website this long, I'd want to see another visual up at the top, and I would want it to be even more relevant to me than these columns, assuming these columns were relevant to anybody. So what I'm looking at here is a description of this person right here that's not enticing or engaging. It makes me, the visitor, work to get the information from the site, which pretty much is a sin. It's a mistake, a grave error. People don't want to work on a website. They want you to spoon feed them on a website. So if you don't, then you're inviting them to leave. This is a totally different website. This is a totally different investment firm. See anything similar or familiar? It's got pretty much the same columns. That said, this site has these two columns right here. And that's really okay. That's not so bad, because you can look down here. It's not one long line of text. It is broken up better than most are. So I think that's really okay. And I'll give this one, heck, let's give that a B+. Here are the two principals in the company. That's really okay. It's staged, but it's not plastic. What I do wonder about is they're standing behind a couch, and a couch or a chair. Now, if you were face-to-face with these guys and they all of a sudden moved behind a couch or a chair, you would wonder if someone were going to open fire on you, or why they were so uncomfortable. So if I were helping these folks with their website, I would crop this photo so that it came up to the bottom of it was just above their hands, so you couldn't see their hands. Now we look over at the content, that copy block. It says our firm, and then it gives you this long paragraph. It doesn't break it up, so you don't know where to look for the information that you would like to see. That's a long paragraph for a website. So these guys have kind of dropped the ball. They look friendly enough, so I'm sorry for that. I would like for them to do better. This is perhaps the most hideous website I've ever seen. It's a financial site, although it doesn't look like it. It looks more like a consumer products catalog page. Psychologically, the page is really confusion in action. You don't know where to look. There's no continuity. Even the buttons are of different colors. Color is a vital component of any website because it helps you categorize the types of elements that are on your page. So, you know, they did it okay on the left side. That left side navigation bar, which it says our funds and how to invest and fund prices. That's one category. And then the other, the gray buttons, are a different category. That's good. That's about the only place where there's anything that works there. So I'm hoping that as we look at another page on the site that it's, I was going to say that it's better, but really it's not, is it? They have a lot of people. Unfortunately, all they give is a name and a job title. I'd like to have some idea of whether each one of these people had something to say that I would want to look at. And I don't mean to be so hard on all these folks, but these, I think these are actually remedial mistakes. I don't know why their web manager, webmaster, or marketing firm let them get away with doing this. It's just, it's like putting somebody in what you know is the absolute wrong investment, or putting together their protection plan and giving them the absolute wrong products. You're underserving them, and someone has desperately underserved this firm by putting together this website for them like this. Okay, this is really a nice site, kinda. I like this image of the person. That's not really the person. But if you're a visitor to the site, you don't know that, so you just assume that it is. You know, I don't know if most people will go, oh, you know what? This doesn't have much meaning to people looking for financial advice or insurance advice. That means that this is a stock photography, a piece of stock photography, which means that this is not the proprietor, the agent, the advisor. This isn't the guy. This is this is a model someplace. So the benefit is that he's a fairly attractive individual, which means that people that come to the site will imbue or give him, extend to the owner of the site, a halo. Attractive people have a halo, and this is that people will give to them, assume that they are smarter, better athletes than they are. They'll give them, heap upon them all these wonderful attributes that have absolutely no basis in fact or reality, just by the way they look. So, you know, the person who is this site now, this is his picture. We just assume that it is because there he is. All right. We look over here and we look at these two copy blocks. They're short. That's really good. Unfortunately, we've got this bolded stuff going on, and we've got the double whammy of the right justification, which, remember, forces space between the words. This is the inside page. This is the About Us page. What's missing here? Again, it's the person. We don't know what this guy looks like. This surely isn't him. This is surely another piece of stock photography. So what do we see here? Let's assume that there was a great big photo right here of a Brad Pitt kind of looking financial advisor, and you go, oh, I really like this guy. I like the way he looks, has kind eyes and a nice smile. So I'll trust him. Then we go over here to see about him. Well, he doesn't even talk about himself. He's not telling you about him. He's telling you about the company. Well, you know, people do business with people. They don't like to do business with firms, and especially at our level where we are dealing one-to-one in a business-to-consumer business model. They want to know who the person is. They don't want to see this stock photography stuff. They want to see a picture of you that makes you look professional and accessible. And unfortunately, this person dropped the ball. By the way, he's in my hometown, although I've never met this person. Another site, this one comes close. It's got this big picture up here of taken on a sailboat, apparently. And at first I thought this was a pun, going to be a pun somehow on the name, but it's not. Ross Asset. It has nothing to do with sailing, unless his target market is members of yacht clubs or somehow people related to boating. I don't know that that's true. You know, we can assume that it is, but you know, it's more probable that this is another template site and this simply is a pretty picture. That would be my guess. So we look down here and we look at where the eye goes. It goes from here, goes over here because it's the next darkest thing. Get to know us. Oh, okay. That's all right. I might go here, but I'm already on this page. So look, let's look over here. We see this and we see this. Unfortunately, you don't want to have a headline or a subhead that's lighter than the copy. That's backwards. That just makes no sense whatsoever. So instead of going from the headline here and then going down to each line, actually your eye kind of goes from here to here. It bypasses this subhead. It just bypasses it. So the result is that this page gets cluttered. You've got this type, you've got this type over here, you got this type, this type, this type. This one goes with this one. Then you get all this stuff down here. That's too much stuff to look at. Too many elements are competing for your attention. Too many things are vying for you to pay attention to when you're looking at this site. So we're getting close to the end here of looking at these, at the different pages. And this page I'm excited for you to see because I think it is absolutely beautiful. I'm not sure where they are, where they're located, but obviously they're connected to Asia in some way. What do we have? What are we looking at? We've got the logo up here. I love the dragon. We've got this big image right here, which I think is absolutely fascinating and intriguing. Every time I come to this page, I keep looking at this picture. It's really a wonderful image. What isn't it? It isn't a piece of stock photography. It isn't a picture of a cute 22-year-old office worker that's supposed to be portraying either a client or an advisor in your firm. It's relevant to who they are. So we've got this headline here, a little bitty short copy block here. We've got this picture of this person right here, which shows, what did I say, professional but accessible. That's what this is. That's exactly what that looks like. We've got the image again, this short copy block, subheads. It's easy to navigate. So the visuals, the organization and layout of the text and the navigation, the ease of navigation on your site are what make the site worthwhile. It's what makes the site successful, it's what entices people onto the site, deeper into the site, inspires them to stay there, and then inspires them to engage with you. And if you can't do those things, then you've really fumbled the ball. So, next step. If I were you, I'd want to know what the specific problems were on my own web page. We do my firm does a lot of marketing. We do psychological marketing for advisors and agents. We specialize in this industry. And it turns out that very few people in this industry understand the psychology of messaging. And that's okay, and it's to be expected because that's not your specialty. It's not where your training is more than likely. So you are most likely credible and brilliant at doing the work of working with your clients. What you're not expert at is organizing the messages in different media and in different formats so that those messages are easy to understand and comprehend. So if I were you, I would want to know where those balls were being dropped, what the problems were with your own website and the other marketing stuff too. And nearly all the problems on every website that we've seen, I don't know, let's not even say nearly, let's say literally everyone is inadvertent. Because, you know, how stupid do you have to be to make a dumb mistake purposely on your website? But these, the problems are psychological. And they're psychological because most people in our industry do not know how visitors are perceiving their site. They're basing or making the decisions of where to put elements and what elements to use. They're basing all of that on their opinion, and they don't have an educated opinion. It's sort of like someone with no education in financial or insurance products putting together an investment portfolio. You know, it just boggles the mind with its idiocy, doesn't it? So if you can improve the images and the way you display them on your site and also on your other marketing, and if you can improve the way you organize the type on your pages, if you can do those two things, you'll solve most of your problems on the websites and all the other marketing pieces. It's really just those two things, the organization of the type and the images. My firm provides an analysis, and we gave it a really highfalutin, ludicrously highfalutin name. We call it the 15-point psychosocial marketing analysis. But it really says what it is. And what we do is we look at marketing, usually start with the website because that's really the most important element in your entire message program, because that's where people go to check you out. When they do their due diligence and they're checking up on you, they go to your website first. So your website is the most important element in your marketing and your communication. So what we look at is 15 specific points that tell us whether your website and the other marketing pieces are valid, whether they're psychologically sound, whether they can entice someone into the marketing pieces and then encourage those people to engage with you. That's your objective. And we do an analysis to figure out specifically where those objectives are failing, and then we figure out how to solve those things. If you would like to have a copy of the criteria we use, those 15 points, Shannon's going to give you several different ways that you can get that. And I'm happy to just send it to you. There's obviously no charge for anything like that. This is just, you know, consider my gift to you. So Shannon?
Yes.
Are you here?
I am here.
Do we have any questions?
Let me go ahead and I will take back the presentation. And thank you so much, Mike. I know I thought that those were some great website examples and some very simple things that can be done to improve the websites. So just as a quick reminder, you can use the webinar control panel to submit your questions. You can just open up that panel and type in the question and click on send. And I do know that we've had some questions submitted, so I will go ahead and just take a look at the questions that we've already had. As you are entering your questions, and as Mike mentioned, you may want to contact him and About People for help with your website, and also to request the analysis information that he is making available. Mike, you're going to have to give the name of that again because I can't remember what you called that. Why don't you, what's the name of that analysis again?
It's called the 15-point psychosocial marketing analysis.
So you can, here's his phone number and email and the website. You can also put a note in the question or go ahead and email Mike to request that. As he said, he's making that available free of charge to all of our users here, and you can request that of Mike. And let me go ahead and see some questions that we have, because I know that people have been sending in some questions. Now, we did have a question here. You talked a lot about photographs on websites, and I know that this is a great question. What about if you just don't feel that you're good looking enough to put a picture of yourself on your website?
Put it on there anyway. Good looking, almost everybody, the vast majority of people in the civilized world are married. Well, somebody thinks they're good looking. And it's not good looking that we're looking for. It's honest and approachable. It's sincere. That's what we want. We really don't care whether the person's attractive or not. It helps if the person is. I don't mean to give the wrong impression there. You don't have to be a photo model in order to have a financial business. But you do have to have a sincere smile, and that's why I harped on that one page where the gentleman I thought had an insincere smile. I thought he was probably let down by the photographer. I've seen a lot of examples of that where the company hires a photographer to come in, and the person just poses the individuals that work there and takes pictures without coaching them in how to look sincere.
Now, how about, we saw on some of the websites there was an About Us section and also an Our Team section. So in one of the on one of the websites, the About Us part talked about the firm, but there was also an Our Team part of that website. So you were sort of saying, well, they're talking all about the firm in this About Us section, but I don't know if you noticed there was an Our Team part of that website too. That probably talked about the individuals of that company. So should there be two sections? Should the advisor information be in the About Us? Should there be an Our Team section also?
No, I would not do an Our Team. It's confusing the issues. About Us is about the team. It's about everybody there. It's the person who's sitting at the receptionary desk in your office. It's everyone. You could show a photo of the custodial staff. It just shows that you have a larger organization than simply a one-person office suite or a temporary office suite, whatever. It shows that you're more legitimate. The more people you can show, we often will, because we have lots of clients who are simply sole proprietors, and what we have them do is ask their affiliates. So, most of the advisors we work with have a relationship with either a CPA or an attorney or somebody else, and we have them ask those affiliates if they will have the photograph taken with them, so they become kind of a team, and they explain in that About Us page, we work very closely with these two highly credible professionals, so if our work for you requires getting legal advice or assistance for wills and estates, blah, 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 they already have that. It's not like they go, oh my goodness gracious, now I have to go out and find a damn attorney. Don't have that. They already have that system in place that shows that it's a more substantial organization than simply one person.
So it's better to have more people on, the whole staff on the site, not just the one advisor.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. We want to know that you're set up, that you're organized, that you have a whole team, that you're not answering your phone because there's nobody else there. We want to know that you have other people doing research for you or reaching out and freeing up your time to do what you do best, right?
Right. Now, you talked a lot about making the copy, all of the text and the images on the website more minimalistic, so there's less text on the website. So if you do that, how do you get enough information portrayed to the people visiting you that you get all of your information to the people so that they will contact you and that they will learn enough about you?
Oh, that is a really good question. I do research every day into how psychology affects how people operate in business and how people buy, how people read websites, and all of this stuff. How does psychology impact our businesses? A piece of research that I read today, and if you ask me for it, I will, in fact, go to my website. It's the link to the article is on the homepage of our website. That's where the beginnings of each blog article are. This research it divides people, buyers, let's say consumers, into two categories. One, the people who only need a very little bit of information before they decide whether or not to buy a product or trust a company. And the other is the people who need a great deal of information. So the more information they get, the closer they come to making that yes decision. So knowing that you have two kinds of people looking at your website, doesn't that say to you that you give them an opportunity to have just a little bit of information up front? So you have you would have a topic, and then 2 or 3 bulleted couple of sentences with inline subheads, just like I was pointing out. And then also you have maybe another tab that gives more information. So you can go into detail on those, you know, so like an investment philosophy. If someone only wants a little bit of information, what are the chances that person's going to go and read about in depth about your investment philosophy? You know, likely not. You know, maybe go to the page and skim through it and realize, whoa, this is a little bit heavy for me. So give both.
So the front page has enough to hit the people that only want a little bit of information, but link to the pages with more detail for the people that want all the information.
Well, I think one of the issues that we're talking about with this question is what's the purpose of the site / what's the purpose of the page? It's a process. You know, you're not going to make a sale from the home page of your website. That's not its purpose.
You really
Its
want them to
purpose
contact you.
Well, yeah, but what are the chances that they will contact you from looking right at that home page, that one page? Likely not. You want them to engage with you. Engage with you meaning engage with your site, which means look at other pages, you know, and which one are they going to go to? They're going to go to the About Us page. So you give them more information there. From that, most people will make the engagement or the contact after that page, because that's why those are the two most important pages on your entire website.
We have some questions about templates for people who are using pre-formatted templates, and many firms actually do mandate the use of templates, but for people using the templates, do you think they need to start over?
No, I don't. I think they need they need to contact someone who knows how to work, if it's possible. Sometimes they have to. The agents, it's typically on the insurance side of the business, have to use a mandated template, but they don't have to use mandated images, and they don't have to use mandated typography formats, which means that they can change those things. Sometimes the template people give them a small selection of images to choose from. So you got a sailboat, you got a horsey jumping over a bar, you have a field of grain, you have a mountain scene. Who cares, really? You know, all that stuff's irrelevant. So what you want to do is find something that's alluring, that represents your target market, represents the state of mind that your visitor is in at that time. So you figure that if you're a financial advisor and somebody's contacting you or going to your website, everything's not rosy and peachy for them. They have a question or a problem, something they need solved. So they are at least curious, if not in process and analysis mode. So what you do is you can get either the template people to help you, if you have to use them, find other images and find other typographical formats, or you might have to go outside and hire somebody who is good at using the program that the site was generated with. Most of the sites today are generated in WordPress, which is sort of like, it's plug and play technology. It's really pretty simple to use, and you can change an enormous amount of it on your own. That's how you would keep your site up to date. And in fact, I started to point out one of the things on one of the sites was that it was last updated, I think it was February of 2011. So
Right.
a year and a half without that firm updating their site, that says they don't understand communication, which implies that they might not be good communicators, which means that when times are tough or I need to reach them, they'll be maybe unavailable.
It's good to never have a last updated date on your website.
Yeah, get rid of that or really keep it up. You know, but Pam and I keep our site updated damn near every day. Because, you know, we do a lot of research, and we want our clients and the people who trust us for the kind of things that we do, we want them to see what's new, what have we learned. And I'm serious, we learn stuff every day because we do research literally every day. You know, it's not every day that we find the nugget, a golden nugget we want to share with people, but just about every day.
We have a couple questions about what colors are best. What color of background is generally the best to use, particularly for financial websites?
Another piece of research that I recently uncovered, you look at your existing site, and chances are that it's got primary colors and dark colors. And I'm saying that because just looking through most of the sites that I've looked at over the years, the Internet's been going, ever since Al Gore invented it. And those strong colors are very popular in our industry. Well, the research done on people looking at websites, reading websites, and how they're responding to websites has calculated that green, light green, and light blue and white are the colors that people are responding to right now. You know, if you Sharon, they can see the that page with my logo on it, right?
Yes.
Okay. Well, you see, that's a light blue, and off to the left there, that's actually what, 6 little guys. It took me a long time looking at that before I realized it was little people. Those little, the 6 things that make up our image. You've got the white in the middle, and then you've got the little blue guys, and then of course the darker color, the semi-black that matches with the other words, people and inside the mind of business. But it's the lighter blue, the brighter blue that I'm pointing out here. And I'm just using this as an example. The research shows that bright colors, and that's the light blue, the light green, and then white, are the ones that people are most responding to right now, today. Because I just saw this research, like I think it was last week. Now what that says is that they're not responding to primary colors and darker colors. I have a client who uses kind of a gold and brown for his theme colors on his site, and I keep pleading with him to change the colors to something more updated, let's call it, because it makes him look old.
And let's see, I have a question. It says, you've said you're not a web designer, so what do they do after you rip apart their current site? Are you there, Mike? Mike, we can't hear you.
Oh, can you hear me now?
Yes. We lost you.
I leaned back. It went away. So am I all right? You can hear me now?
Yes. No. We've lost you again.
All right. Oh, I don't
Now
know what's going on here.
we can hear you.
Oh, geez, I'm sorry about that. I don't know what that is. All right. Can you what to do after I rip apart the website. We work with people who are experts at working with websites. One of them is a search engine optimization guy. I always throw up red flags when I hear these guys. But we've actually met with this. He lives in Seattle, 350 miles away. We've had dinner with him and met with him on multiple occasions. He's highly affordable, just amazingly affordable. Pam and I just looked at each other and went, what? That's how much you charge? Are you kidding me? So very affordable. And another guy we work with is over in Washington, D.C., and he was instrumental in putting our website together. So if you want to see an example of what is pretty good, not perfect, but pretty good, just go and look through the pages of our own website, aboutpeople.com. So, we'll figure out what's wrong, and then we'll help you fix all the problems.
Oh, great. And then you recommend having images on every page or just the home page? Do you recommend having
every page? Every page. Yeah, there's a hierarchy of value here. Your photo and photos of your team are the best ones to have because they're real and people learn to trust you by looking at you. If you can't do that for some absurd reason, you can use stock photography of other people. Make sure that those images are not those generic-looking pictures that you see on thousands of other websites. Find pictures that you don't see every day. That's a secondary decision, a secondary not benefit. It's just the second tier of images that you would use. People like to look at images of other people. So you have to have pictures of people spread throughout your site. You might not have pictures of people on every page, but at least, let's say, half the pages. And then if you don't have a picture of a person, you want to have some kind of an image, whether it's an icon or a symbol of some kind on the page, because people look there. It draws their eye. So, just make sure you use them and then explain what it is that you've put there. You can't just arbitrarily put a picture of a statue someplace on your site and assume that people will look there and go, voila, now I get it, I'm going to buy.
So you do recommend that a photo of each member of the small company be on the site?
Yeah.
Even if it's not their photo? Did I hear you say?
I'm sorry, say that again?
You do recommend that a photo of each member of a small company be on the site?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do. Because you have enough. If it's a small company, then you don't have that many people. So they will all fit on the page without the visitor having to scroll down. Remember that one this page we looked at where they had 15 people with those little bitty headshots? If you've got a staff like that, then you wouldn't show each one of those people. But I'd rather show a big group picture than force people to have to scroll down.
And then we also had a question, since you mentioned stock photos, do you have any good websites for free stock photos? We can't hear you again, Mike.
If you can
now we can hear you, yes.
Wow.
I don't know why we keep losing you. I'm sorry.
If you'll shoot me an email, I will give you the stock photography companies that we have used. My wife takes care of buying all the photography, and I don't know which companies have gone out of business because that's kind of a regular deal in that industry. But I'm happy to share with you the contacts we have.
And then I know we're sort of over a little bit, so I'll go through a couple of these questions quickly. You've mentioned that the About Us is the second most viewed page, so the home page is the most viewed.
Yes.
What's the third most viewed page?
I can't answer that because there are too many different variables. You might look at 5 different sites and there only be a home page. The only ones they have in common are the home and About Us.
And I'm being told I'm the only one that can't hear you, which I guess that's my internet connection, so I'll stop saying I can't hear you. And I know that the About Us page is better to use than the team page. You had mentioned that earlier, that it's better to have an About Us page than a team page. And some people have been checking out your web page, and they're saying that you don't have pictures on most of your pages.
Yeah, I said it was a good example. I didn't say it was a perfect example. Yeah, we have a lot of photos on our site, but we don't have photos on every site. You know, it's like I said with that other company where they hadn't updated their site since February of last year. You know, we're constantly updating our site. You know, we changed that picture of Pam and me. That's not the picture we started with. We're constantly changing and updating. As soon as we find something, a piece of research that we want to try out, we adjust it. It is definitely a dynamic website.
And I just have one more question to finish it off. There is a question about whether that is actually your dog in the photo, which I can answer, yes, that is Woody. So why don't you just close us out with a little bit about Woody there?
Woody happens to be sleeping on a muffin about 3 feet from me right now. He's a Parsons Terrier, which is a strain of Jack Russell Terrier, and he was the pick of the litter. We bought him from a big breeder in Texas, and he was born on January 1 of 2000. He's truly a millennial boy, and has, of course, like all Jack Russells, he only had 2 speeds in the beginning, bouncing off the walls and asleep. And now he has a whole range of attitudes and moods and states of energy. We live out in the country. For example, when we have to take our trash out, it's a 100-yard walk to put it at the end of the driveway.
Well, he looks adorable.
And you can see the woods behind us there in that picture.
Yeah.
He and our 90-pound lab, Eva, get to romp through the woods on a regular basis, and it is, I mean, going out and sniffing for all the critters that come through our area in the country here, out in the woods. That is absolute heaven for them.
Oh, so that's great.
They're happy. They're happy.
Well, thank you so much, Mike. It looks like that's it for questions for today. It looks like I may have had an internet issue with the slowness there since I lost Mike a little bit on his audio. If your question does come through later, don't worry. We will send you through an email to answer it, and I do apologize there. But thank you so much, Mike. This presentation was very invaluable, some great information. We had a lot of great questions here.
Well, thanks a lot, Shannon. I hope my abundance of energy didn't get in the way of the message.
Oh, no, not at all. I also wanted to thank everybody for attending today's Advisor's Assistant Guest Speaker webinar, and that I hope you also found it very helpful and learned some very valuable information for your business.